Today we're going to be looking at my remake of Dance Monkey by Tones and I, produced by Konstantin Kersting. Here's the project inside of Ableton. The tempo for this project is 98 beats per minute, and the key signature is F sharp minor. The main elements that make up this song are the chord progressions, the various bass lines, and some simple drum programming. One thing to note about this song is that it's very minimal, so it's really about nailing the tone of each sound. I tried my best, but it's not perfect. So for the intro and basically throughout the whole song, we have this main piano, and the chords are F sharp minor, D major, E major, and C sharp minor. It sounds like this. For the sound, I use Arturia's Piano V2, and the main things is that you want to add some reverb to give it that space, and you also want to filter it down a little bit and take out some of that high end so it sounds a little darker. Additionally, there's a second layer that I heard, and it sounds like a little pluck that just plays the root notes, and it sounds like this. It just gives it a little bit more body. And for this sound, I used Serum, and it was just a preset, PL Big Bells. And the same thing here, I added some reverb, and then I kind of filtered it down just to get a bit of that low end. Once we get into the verse, we have these chord stabs that play along with the piano. And for this, I used the same pretty much preset and stuff that I use on the main piano. And this is what it sounds like. One thing I did add that's different on this one is that I added a transient shaper. For here, I'm using Neutron, and I kind of just gave it a little bit more attack so it hits a little harder, but not too much. And then right before the chorus drops is another piano, and it's just holding out the same chords just for a longer period of time, and it's pretty much the same piano. And then later on in the verse, we have the bass lines that come in, and for me what I heard was two bass lines. I heard a analog bass and I heard an 808 bass. For the analog bass, I used a Serum preset that I found, and then I just filtered it down so it's more of the low end. This is what it sounds like. And then additionally, there's the 808 bass line. And for that, I used Serum, but I used an initial patch, and on oscillator A, I found the analog sine wave, and this is the pattern that it plays. And then one cool little thing that I did is that I added a little trigger note. And so the short notes of the 808 is set for this trigger. And every time those short notes hit, I have this analog bass ducking so that it's not really clashing with each other. Also, there is a pad sound that's kind of faintly in the background, and this is it. And for that, I used the Korg M1, and I just found a nice string preset that sounded pretty similar. I did drown it in a bit of reverb to put it more back in the mix, and I also filtered a little bit of the high end. Right before the chorus drops, there's reverse cymbals, and for that I just used a Cashmere sample that I found. So now here's the chorus. It's actually very minimal. You only have three main drum sounds playing: a kick, a closed hi-hat, and a snap. Here's the kick. It just plays every quarter note. For the closed hi-hat, it plays on the off beats, so when you hear the kick, it's in between each kick. And then for the snap, I actually put together 4 snaps to make one snap that sounded similar to the one from the original. And then I added just a bit of reverb on it to give it that space, and then cut out some of the low end. And this is what the snap sounds like. Altogether, this is what the drums sound like. So the drums are simple, but what gives it the groove is this funk bass line. And for the funk bass line, I used the Mini V3 from Arturia, and I found a nice preset called Rolling Bass. And the main thing is that I kind of just filtered it down to get more of that low end. But an interesting thing that I did was I created some chains so I could process each kind of part of the sound a little different. So here's what it sounds like all together. One thing to note is that some of these notes are kind of off the grid, which is a good thing because that's what'll give you even more groove on top of the nice bass line. Here's what each layer sounds like individually. That's just the straight up Arturia Mini V3. Here's a layer that I created with ADRIAN, and I added just a bit of grit or saturation because that's what I heard. But I EQ'd a lot of the low end because I kind of just wanted some of that top end. And then for the third layer, I put just a little bit of reverb because that's what I heard. And same thing here is that I took out all the low end, kind of just got the top. So here's the final result. I'm actually going to play it without the acapella because the acapella that I found sounds low quality, so I feel like it takes away from the instrumental.